Have you ever wondered what it might be like to live as a citizen of Los Santos? Now, I'm not talking about our online characters who have access to easy money, illicit businesses, and staff working for us. No, I'm talking about your average NPC. Well, then let me now introduce you to Gerald. He's just a regular dude moving from sandy shores to the chaotic but charming streets of Los Santos in hopes for a better life. He only has a little bit of savings, no place to live, no car to his name, but he has managed to land a job at Life Invader with an annual salary of $65K a year, which is the median salary of someone living in the real life Los Angeles in 2026. Now, over the next few days, Gerald is going to have to find a place to live, figure out his cheapest transportation to get to work every day, buy food and drinks, as well as making sure to enjoy his time in his new city. We're going to keep track of all of his spending, all in the hopes of answering one simple question. How much would you need to make in order to live comfortably in Los Santos? And so, since we don't want to end up under the highway on day one, the first step when getting to the city is finding a place to live. When it comes to looking for an apartment or a home to live in, you quickly come to one unfortunate realization. Renting just doesn't exist in Los Santos. Anytime you find a sign that says for rent, the number is never in service. So we will need to actually purchase a property here in order to live. But luckily, you can actually find some really good spots for pretty cheap, given that this is supposed to be LA. There's apartments all over the city ranging from 100K to a few million, but again, we are just trying to live comfortably without breaking the bank. Which is when I happened to stumble upon this apartment located at 3 Alta Street. It's got a central location in the middle of the city, ample parking despite also coming with a 10-car garage, and it's close to both a metro stop and a bus stop, so it's perfect for getting around. Not only that, but for $223K, we get a 2-story condo with 1 bed, 1 bath, and a huge walk-in closet, an office, and a fully furnished living room, dining room, and kitchen. Now, for the video's sake, we're going to assume Gerald doesn't have $200K lying around, which means we're going to need to mortgage this place. With a standard rate of 20% down and a 7% interest rate on a 30-year term, we are currently looking at a monthly payment of just about $530, which, to be honest, is actually a pretty phenomenal price if this place actually existed. I mean, look at this place. It is absolutely gorgeous, right? But there's a catch. He forgot to consider that all apartments in Los Santos get charged a $75 property fee every day. What this fee is actually for, I still have no idea after like 13 years. But nonetheless, a $530 mortgage fee plus $75 each day brings his average monthly bill to around $2,800. Meaning the property fees are actually the bulk of his expenses for his house. Despite that though, for $2,800 still, this place is not all that bad. So Gerald has moved into his new place and got a good night's sleep. But it is now Monday morning and bro has to go to work. And his first thought is to take the bus to work since the Life Invader office isn't too far away. But our Gerald quickly realizes a really big problem. The public transport is absolutely terrible. Not only is it terrible, but it's actually just non-existent. I mean, buses just don't come, like, at all. You can see them driving around, but they literally never stop to actually pick anyone up. At this point, Gerald is terrified because he's about to be late for work on his very first day. Luckily, however, a random stranger comes by and is nice enough to give him a ride to work and make it on time. Except Gerald got scammed. You see, this was actually an undercover cop who was trying to do an investigation on Life Invader, so Gerald had to quickly dip the scene. Now it's his second day, so Gerald tries the metro today, but quickly finds out that it's almost just as bad as the bus routes. The metro does at least pick people up, and there is a stop right by his work, and it's free, but it is so inconsistent that he couldn't possibly rely on it for getting to work on time every day, so that becomes a last-ditch effort. So his only option left was to call a taxi on his third day. Now, the taxis actually come super quick in this city. I mean, it's incredible. It's almost like they spawn out of thin air. But the problem is that it cost Gerald $60 just to get to work. not to mention another $60 getting home. For $600 a week, taking a taxi to work was not going to cut it. There was only one option left: to buy a car. Vehicles in Gerald's price range were pretty limited due to the rising inflation of cars within the city, but he did manage to find a brand new pickup truck for $30,000. But due to his mortgage payment, Gerald doesn't have the money to buy it outright. So again, with 20% down and a 7% interest rate on a 5-year term, he's looking at a monthly payment of around $430. Now, there are some really big upsides that come with owning a car in Los Santos, but there's also one major downside. The upside is that the car insurance here is absolutely immaculate. If your car is destroyed or rendered inoperable by a third party, Mors Mutual, the company that has a monopoly on all car insurance in the city, will give you a brand new car, same make and model, for no extra charge. And not only is the insurance great, but they also provide you with a personal mechanic that will deliver your car wherever you want. Now, the downside is that these services cost you $50 a day. So, taking our $430 car payment on top of the $50 a day for insurance brings the new total to around $19.50 per month. And despite this maybe being controversial for you guys watching, I am going to allocate $300 a month for gas, and hear me out as to why. The reason for this is that if you shoot the gas tank on your car and let the gas pour out, the car stops working, meaning it does need gas to run. Not to mention, there are gas stations everywhere around the city, so it seems reasonable to think that the citizens actually use them, despite us not needing to. So that brings our monthly car cost to $22.50, which does seem like a lot, but it is still cheaper than taking a taxi to work every day. Okay, so we've got a place to live and we've finally got a car, but it's been 3 days in the city now and Gerald has not eaten anything, so let's figure out his food budget. Now, Los Santos suffers from a major problem of having the only sustenance you can actually buy be pop, candy, chocolate, cigarettes, and beer. And I don't even think you can call half of those sustenance. Grocery stores obviously exist around Los Santos, but finding one that's open is essentially impossible. Same with fast food. We can find Cluck and Bell, Burger Shot, and Senior Buns locations in the city, but we can't actually order anything, no matter how good those prices may be. So for the sake of the video, it leaves us with two options. We can either assume that our character is legitimately expected to survive on nothing but candy, beer, and cigarettes, or we assume that regular civilians are getting food from the grocery store, and I'm more inclined to go the grocery store route. Around our apartments, we can find fruit, milk, and wine, implying our Gerald has found a grocery store to get this stuff. And what's nice is that despite the inflation that has plagued the vehicle and housing markets in Los Santos, food prices have virtually stayed the exact same. So if we simply look at the stats of an average monthly grocery bill in LA from 2013, it's likely that Gerald is spending roughly $300 a month on food. We got a place to live, we got a car, and we got food. So here's the real kicker. There's one really important thing that most Americans have in their budgets: health insurance. The average person in LA spends anywhere from $100 to $500 on their monthly health insurance. And if Los Santos had any health insurance, it would probably be even more than that. Now, normally you would think that not having health insurance would be a bad thing for a city, but instead, Los Santos has found a system that's even better. For the low cost of just $500, you become immortal. Now you're probably thinking, oh, Jetro, that's not realistic. That's only a feature for our online character. If Gerald dies, he's a goner. Wrong. We will call this guy Steve, and if you look at the time, Steve is alive and doing well. Unfortunately, a very freak accident has rendered Steve not alive and not well, but it's okay because just a bit later, he's back on the street ready to head to work the next day and every other day till the end of time. Now, for our homie Gerald, this might be a little hard to accurately factor into the budget, how many times he's gonna die. But while recording footage for this video, I was blown up only one time and had a few close calls. So to be conservative, we will just assume we might get offed let's say twice a month for a total of $1,000. Some people might say this is a little too conservative for Los Santos, with like nukes being dropped on the city and flying rocket bikes hovering around, but Gerald isn't a part of the criminal world, so if he gets offed, it's literally just bad luck for him. So now we have all the essentials. We've got a place to live, transportation, food, and healthcare. Now we get into the fun stuff. On our days off, there are a bunch of activities that we can spend our fun money on. Nightclubs, strip clubs, going to the casino, shopping, the movies, going on rides at the pier. But there is also a bunch of activities that don't cost a dime, like playing golf or darts, spending the day at the observatory, or a road trip down to Mount Chiliad. So to keep it simple, we will just say that Gerald will indulge in each of the paid activities once per month, and fills the rest of his free time with free activities. We will allocate $50 to the casino and $50 to go shopping. The strip club is also technically free, but we will say that he gets a few drinks for $10, but everything else has set prices. So seeing a movie costs $20, nightclub has a $100 entry fee, and going on rides at the pier costs $10 each. So that brings our monthly fun money to around $250, which I think is actually pretty reasonable. And one thing that I forgot to add on was our phone bill. While this is an expense we never have to actually pay for, it's implied that Gerald does. In our apartment, we can find a sticky note on our fridge that reminds us to pay the phone bill. So, taking the average phone bill in America with unlimited talk, text, and data like our phone in-game has, it would add an extra $75 to our monthly budget. And finally, Gerald has now made it. He is now living a comfortable life within Los Santos. But at what cost? Well, adding up everything together brings his total monthly expenses to roughly $6,675. And so if we go back to look at his job at Life Invader, which we said brings in about $65K a year, will he be able to survive? Simple answer is no. He's going into about an average of $1,200 a month in credit card debt just to live in Los Santos. However, there is a way that we can substantially get Gerald's costs down. If we had chosen the cheapest apartment in the city and the cheapest car possible, he would save about $2,000 a month on his apartment with the reduced property fee and about $300 on his car payments, with his new monthly total instead being only $3,595 with everything else included. Now, this comes at the cost of living in a place with rotting drawers, mold on the ceiling, and torn up carpets, as well as a car that goes 0 to 60 in 84 seconds, but it would keep him out of debt, and his job at Life Invader would be able to support him. But who knows, maybe we can do this again in November, and Gerald will be able to afford a cheaper lifestyle down in Vice City. But either way, I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.